The Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, EPRA, is established under the Energy Act 2019 with the responsibility for technical and economic regulation of renewable energy, electricity, petroleum and coal subsectors in Kenya.
We at EPRA, we are the regulator for the energy and petroleum sectors. We regulate the electricity and petroleum sectors from generation in electricity to transmission to distribution and eventually retail and supply of power. We also regulate the petroleum sector, the entire value chain as well, from upstream, midstream and downstream petroleum.
EPRA has launched the Car Safe Mtaani campaign, which seeks to educate Kenyans on safety while handling petroleum products and electricity.
Car Safe Mtaani was inspired by a need to drive the agenda of raising awareness what the legal and regulatory framework when it comes to the energy and petroleum sectors is, and getting people to understand how to utilize energy to drive their lives or to drive their day-to-day living and the day-to-day activities from a common mwananchi standpoint, whilst appreciating the dangers or the hazards that come with unsafe use of energy and petroleum, the common man's economy.
Consumer safety is as important as accessibility and affordability of energy. In the 2020-2021 financial year, a total of 208 accidents were reported, where 118 were fatal. In the 2019-2020 financial year, 133 accidents were reported, where 102 were fatal. In the 2018-2019 financial year, 92 accidents were reported.
Kwa majina ninaitwa Philip Kipkirui Toet, nikiwa chairman wa bodaboda Chepalungu Sub-County upande wa Bomet County. Hapa nikisimama na Cosmas Korir, memba wangu wa bodaboda ambaye aliathirika na waya za stima alipokuwa akiendesha pikipiki yake. Nilikuwa one of the eyewitness, nilikuwa nikitoka Bomet kufika tu some 1 kilometer ama half a kilometer from the scene, nikaona moshi kubwa, nikaambiwa stima imechoma mtu yako ya stima ya bodaboda. Nikaisimamisha pikipiki, nikapata watu wanakimbia kupanda mlima, wengine wanakimbia all directions. Na huyu Cosmas alikuwa amerushwa kwa shamba na nguvu za umeme. Yeye bado ako very weak, hana nguvu ya kufanya kazi, na ilhali familia yake inamtegemea. Ako na watoto 4 ambao walikuwa wanamtegemea. Tegemeo yake ilikuwa hiyo bodaboda. Kitu mimi naweza ambia raia ama wakaaji ama wale wanakaa karibu na stima, wasikaribie kwa mawaya za stima ambaye wanashuku inaweza kuwa inaleta hatari. Maana hii stima saa zingine hata karibu na booster, saa zingine unasikia inanguruma, saa zingine ina spark. Sasa jambo kama hiyo ikitokea, usikaribie, inaweza kudhuru zaidi.
The rate of these accidents and incidents have increased over the years.
You find that most of the consumers in this country, electricity consumers, when they put up their structures, they put up their buildings, they don't follow the laid down procedures to get connected to electricity. And when you get those connections which are not authorized, which are not legal, sometimes they don't follow the laid down standards and procedures. And this really exposes them to a lot of safety issues. The process of licensing electrical workers and electrical contractors starts by them making an application. Nowadays we are going online, so they just go to our online portal and they make an application. And our licenses are under several categories. So when they make those applications, the applications are received, we review them, then we do what's called experience and competency assessment. So that by the time you give your license, those people are competent to do the works, and we are sure that when they do the works in those premises, the work will be carried as per the standards prevailing in this country.
LPG is touted as one of the most efficient energy sources. However, Kenyans living in both rural and urban centers have been victims of LPG explosions and accidents caused by poor handling of LPG.
It was a new cylinder. I didn't really have to check or know, but I know he sells gas in Gatundu town. Whoever sold it to me is a friend, so I just called him and he delivered to my premise. I have a small business there, so it was just an extra cylinder, and it was in the house for quite some time. Early in the morning, I woke up at around 5. I wanted to cook some tea, so I just happened to ignite the burner, and the flames just came to where I was standing, where the cylinder was. So I was lucky enough. The flames didn't get to the clothes. I was just burnt the open sides. I can't really remember what happened, but I found myself now lying on the floor. I think I was trying to run. Because of the burns, I spent 3 weeks, almost 4 weeks in hospital. It affected me financially. I couldn't go to work. I try now to be more cautious, because now I have the scars to show, and it always reminds me of that day.
Your safety is part of EPRA's mandate in consumer protection. Here's what to look out for when purchasing LPG.
1, the general appearance of the cylinder. The state of the cylinder should be good. That is, the cylinder should be free of defects. The other thing you should look at is that the cylinder should be branded. In case something happens, whom do you hold to account? The other thing you should look at is that at the neck of the cylinder, there are usually some numbers engraved on it. 1 is the serial number of the cylinder. Each cylinder should have a unique serial number, and this is for traceability again. The other thing that you should check for, which is very important, is the test date. These cylinders are pressure vessels, and they are usually tested after every 8 years. So the moment you look at the neck of the cylinder and you see a number, normally it starts with the month stroke the year the cylinder was tested. It should not be older than 8 years. The other thing that you need to look at is that the cylinder should have a seal on the valve, or if it's not a seal, it's a shrink wrap. Like for the 13 kg, these are plastic wrap you find on top of the valve, covering the valve. That is what we call a shrink wrap. So it normally has the name of the brand owner, so it should have a seal. And of course, generally once you open the seal or you cut the shrink wrap, the valve should be in good state. It should not be leaking, it should not be rusty. And of course, once you buy the cylinder, you need to request the vendor to first of all do a leak test. They will do a soap water bath, and then they will also give you, weigh the cylinder, you counter check the weight so that you get value for money. The vendor should give you a receipt with their name, the serial number of the cylinder, the size of cylinder, and the date of purchase, such that if anything happens to that cylinder, there is traceability from where you got it from.
Mimi ni mkaazi wa hapa Sachangwan. Wakati huu mkasa wa moto ulipotokea, I think tulikuwa watu wa kwanza wawili. Kuna rafiki yangu tulikuwa na yeye. Kuna gari ilituletea ripoti kuna lori imeanguka hapo chini. Na mimi nilikuwa na motorbike Kingbird mpya, ilikuwa na 2 weeks old. It was 2 weeks old. Ilikuwa wiki mbili tu. Sasa niliposikia petroli, nikasema Mungu ametukumbuka kwa sababu hii pikipiki inatumia petroli na itakuwa imenipunguzia gharama ya kununua petroli. Sasa mimi nikaondoka nikaenda pale kando kwa mtaro, tukasema heri kuchota kwa mtaro pale. Tulisikia tu kama bomu imelia kule nyuma, moto imelipuka. Sasa watu wengi wenye waliruka barabara pande ile ingine ndio wengi wao waliokoka. Wenye walikufa wote ni marafiki zetu, our closest friends. Marafiki ambao tulikuwa nao hiyo a minute ago, 2 minutes ago, alafu within 5 minutes unasikia amekufa. Ili tu affect psychologically hata kwa maisha. Kwa hivyo hata maziwa, hata pombe, hata lori yote ikianguka, tujaribu sana kuepukana kukaribia na kutorokea hiyo kitu.
First responders, like the police, are the first to arrive at accident scenes. We urge the public to avoid fuel tanker accident spots. This risks your life and endangers others.
We work as a team with EPRA, and in case of any eventuality, we always call them to assist us and advise us on matters of petroleum. We always have various meetings with them, and we always agree on the way forward, on what to do. And in case of emergencies, they're always available for us, and they also give us advice on the way forward.
A collaboration between the Energy Police Unit, EPU, at the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum and the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, EPRA, seeks to enhance compliance and enforcement of laws and regulations in the energy and petroleum subsectors.
We have been working very closely with EPRA, the head of security, and also engaging very well with the DG. And what I can say is that we have been able to tackle the security threats in the energy sector. For example, vandalism, illegal power connections, the irregularities being committed in the gas LPG subsector, and also in the petroleum sector, where we see people adulterating fuel, and we see the consumers suffering because of that. For example, if it is the gas subsector, if the LPG gas cylinders do not meet the required standards. I was being told somewhere in the field that sometimes these people do not adhere to the required weight. So they'll put nitrogen. Instead of the required gas, they'll put some bit of it and then mix with nitrogen. So even after consuming that gas, you feel inside, you have some liquid inside, but there is no gas. So that collaboration has been very key because we have made arrests. We have intensified raids to the traders, and as at now, we have not been able to eradicate, but we have brought down the rate of the criminality that was being perpetrated by the errant traders.
If found in violation of energy sector standards, codes and regulations, EPRA begins a process which includes either of or all of the following interventions.
There are instances where we issue improvement notices. These are instances where we have non-conformities which are not serious, that require just improvement. We also issue show cause letters where we don't have full information, or we want to give you an opportunity to explain why that non-compliance occurred. We also issue warning letters. We suspend licenses for a period of time. In serious cases, we revoke them. Revoking means you have to apply afresh. We also demolish or close illegal facilities with the help of the National Police Service. And in many instances, we prosecute these cases in the courts of law.
EPRA is dedicated to its role as an economic and technical regulator of petroleum, electricity, coal and renewable energy sectors in Kenya. EPRA.go.ke, the official website for the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, is accessible to Kenyans 24/7.
You'll find in the authority's database different licensees such as electrical workers, electrical contractors, solar PV technicians, petroleum and LPG licensees, energy sector regulations, among other information.
Kaa safe Mtaani.